Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Wow, it suddenly filled up. Blink my eyes and everyone's here. We'll be beginning on page 105.
You said 135?
105.
105.
And it is Shabbat Shuvah, so that means when we get to the tefillah, we will be doing a special tefillah, and I'll tell you what page that is on when we get there, which is a while from now. But just by way of beginning, because it is Shabbat Shuvah, so here we are, really just about to finish our High Holy Days. So I came across this poem only this morning, as a matter of fact. We are at the beginning of new cycles in a world that is ours, transcending time and space. We're in the middle of taking stock as we look to next steps and ponder choices that follow. We are at the end of the last season, musing, reflecting on what we learned. We become aware that before us lies the expanse of the next beginning. We ask, what now? We find ourselves alone, communing inside with images, thoughts, and senses that translate to joy, sorrow, gratitude, fear, yearning, confusion, resentment, contentment. We find ourselves communal in actions, deeds, and meetings, in song and in shared words of prayer. We pause to look at those who surround us and to look inward at ourselves. What do we see? Faces to remind us that in minds, in hearts, in souls, life memories linking past to present to future. And we see in those connections sparks of creation that fly everywhere. And so we join in singing Ma Tovu on page 105.
I can't hear. Sorry, I can't hear.
I think the microphone is on. There's nothing I can... Yeah, if we turn it up anymore, we'll get feedback. There's nothing... I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about that. I'll do my best to shout without causing feedback.
Could somebody help with the page numbers for Michael?
Yeah. Shall I see if this microphone works any better? If I read the page number, see if it's clearer on this mic. We are starting on page 105.
Sorry? You can't turn it on.
It's on. We can't turn it up. I'm sorry, Michael, but we can't turn it up.
Is this microphone clearer to hear? Yeah. Good. So I'll say it again for Michael. 105, Michael. Where you read, the congregation will stand, but I think that's optional. Ma tovu, ma tovu, ma tovu alecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael, Mishkanotecha Yisrael, Ani berov chesdecha, Avo betecha, eshtachave el heikal kodshecha, b'yiratecha, el heikal kodshecha, b'yiratecha. Adonai ahavti me'on beitecha, Umakom mishkan kavodecha, v'ani eshtachave be'ekra, evracha lifnei Adonai osi. V'ani tefilati lecha, Adonai et ratzon, Elohim, Yishecha.
As we say the prayers of our ancestors, help us, O God, to remember their faith and devotion, their joy and suffering, and make us worthy of our heritage. May the tradition we have received live in us and pass from us to generations we shall never know, enriched by the truth we have found and the good we have done. So may we fulfill our task on earth and receive our blessing. Eternal God, school us in your teachings and make us loyal to your commandments. May we never consent to evil or surrender to temptation or self-contempt. Help us to rise above selfishness and make us responsive to the voice of conscience. Direct our every impulse to your service, today and every day. May we merit kindness and compassion in your sight and in the sight of all who behold us. And let us know your love. Together we praise you, O God, for the love you daily show us. We turn to page 107. Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam, Baruch hu. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, המחולל בפי עמו, משובח ומפואר בלשון חסידיו ועבדיו, בשפחות הזמירות, נגדל לך ונמליכך מלכנו יחיד חי העולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, מלך מחולל בתשבחות.
אשרי יושבי ביתך, עוד יהללוך סלה, אשריהם שכחלו, אשריהם שאדוני אלוהיו.
We read responsively on page 108. Always I will exalt you, my sovereign God, beginning each day with praise. Cause us to see your greatnesses beyond us, declaring your works to each generation, even as they speak of your splendor. For as they tell of your awesome might, great is your goodness which they celebrate, holding us in your grace and compassion. In your goodness, eternal God, joyfully your work shall thank you, knowing how great is your majesty. Let all humanity perceive your power. Mighty is your rule and everlasting. O God, you support the fallen. Pleading, all look and hope to you. Quietly, you open your hand. Righteous are you in all your ways. So near are you to all who call upon you. The desire of those who revere you, you fulfill. Unceasingly, our lips shall sing God's praise.
ואנחנו נברך יה מתה ועד עולם, הללויה.
Yishtabach Shemcha La'ad Malkeinu. Please rise. האל המלך הגדול והקדוש בשמיים ובארץ, כי לך נאה אדוני אלוהינו, ואלוהי אבותינו, שיר ושפחה, הלל וזמרה, ברכות והודאות, מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, הבוחר בשירי זמרה. We're on page 135 for the call to public worship, the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Amavorach. Baruch Adonai Amavorach Le'olam Vaed.
Can we resume our seats? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or u'vorei hoshech, oseh shalom u'vorei et hakol, hame'er la'aretz v'ledarim alecha berachamim, uv'tuvo mekadesh b'chol yom tamid, ma'aseh v'reishit. Marabu ma'asach Adonai, kulam b'chokhma asita, milach haaretz, kinyanecha, titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, v'al ma'orei or, she'asita, yifar ruha, selah, baruch atah Adonai, yotzer hameorot. Let's continue together in English in the middle of the page. Great is your love for us, eternal God, and abundant your compassion. Our ancestors trusted in you, and you taught them the laws of life. So be gracious to us and teach us. Incline our hearts to hear your words, to know and understand, to learn and teach, and with love to uphold the truths of your Torah. Enlighten us with your teaching. Make us faithful to your commandments, and wholehearted in the love and awe of your name. For in love you summon us to serve you and proclaim your unity. Praise you, O God. In love, you have called your people Israel to serve you. And we rise on 137 for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Vaed.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shiftecha v'vitecha v'lechtecha v'derech v'shokbecha v'kumecha v'kshartam al yadecha v'hayu le'totafot b'nenecha v'tavtam al mezuzot v'etecha v'visherecha.
L'man tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kadoshim l'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem l'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Resume our seats. We continue reading together in the English. Good and beautiful and true, sound, established and enduring are these words now and forever. True it is, Eternal One, that you are a sovereign God and Redeemer. As you are the God and Redeemer of our ancestors, you are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We have known you always as our helper and our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly you are first and you are last, We have no Redeemer but you. You redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage. And with great joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel together sang to you this song.
Mi chamocha v'elim Adonai, mi chamocha ne'davar kodesh, nor tehilot osef eleh.
Shira chadasha shebechol geolim v'shimchal sfat hayam, yachad kulam, hodu v'him lichu, v'yomeru.
Adonai imloch ve'olam va'ed. Zu Israel, kuma b'ezrat Israel, Koleinu Adonai tzavot shemo, Kadosh Israel, Baruch atah Adonai, God Israel, God Israel, Israel.
We turn to page 383. 383, that's the tefillah, the special Sabbaths, and this is one because it's Shabbat Shuvah. And on the top of page 383, we rise.
Adonai sefatai tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chazdei Avot v'Imachot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo V'Yachava. Zochrenu.
Zochrenu l'chaim, melech hafetz b'chaim, v'chataveinu b'sefer ha'chaim, v'manecha Elohim Chaim.
Melech Hozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Meitim atah, Rav leHoshia, Mashiv HaRuach u'Morid HaGeshem, Mazriach HaShemesh u'Morid HaTal.
Mechalchel Chaim v'chesed, Mechayei Meitim, B'rachamim, B'rachamim Rabim. Somek noflim, Rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emuneto, Lishenei afar. Mi chamocha b'geurot, umidomelach, melech meimit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua.
Mi chamocha v'rachamim, Zocher Yitzirav l'chaim b'rachamim. B'ne'aman atah l'chayot meitim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh ha'meitim. Vince, Kedusha, middle of 385.
Sorry, what are you asking for?
נקדש את שמך בעולם כשם שמקדשים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך.
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Melech haaretz kavodo.
כבודו מלא עולם.
Baruch kavod Adonai mimkomo.
ובדברי קודשך כתוב לאמור.
Yimloch Adonai leolam, Elohai Zion, L'do, Hallelujah. L'do, nagid God lecha, L'do, nagid God lecha, Ulenetzach netzachim, krusharka nakdish. Ulenetzach netzachim, krusharka nakdish. L'do, nagid God lecha, L'do, nagid God lecha, v'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush leolam va'ed. V'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush leolam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai, HaMelech HaKadosh. And we resume our seats.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. אלוהינו אלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, רוצה במנוחתנו, קדשנו במצוותיך, ותן חלקנו בתורתך. רבנו מטובך, ושמחנו בשועתך. ותהל בנו לעבדך באמת. והנחילנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה ורצון. שבת קודשך, שבת קודשך. וינוחו ישראל Enucho Israel, Mekadeshei Shemecha.
Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu, Ba'alecha Israel, Utefilatam ba'ava tekaber, Utehil ratzon, Tamid avodat Israel, Amecha, Israel Amecha.
Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha lira na'avod. Continue together on page 388, in the middle of the page in English. We give thanks that you, Eternal One, our God, as you are the God of our ancestors. You are the rock of our life, the power that shields us in every age. We thank and praise you for our lives, which are in your hand, for our souls, which are in your keeping, for the signs of your presence we encounter every day, and for your wondrous gifts at all times, morning, noon, and night. May all who are loyal to your covenant be inscribed for a good life. Baruch atah Adonai, ato shemcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. Now on the bottom of page 389 for Sim Shalom.
Sim shalom tova uvracha. Sim shalom tova uvracha. Chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu, Yalko Israel Amecha. Ocheinu avinu kulanu k'echad, Ohanecha. Sim shalom tova uvracha. Sim shalom tova uvracha. Ki v'orchanecha netata lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, Torat chaim v'ahavat chesed, uftacha uracha v'rachamim v'chaim v'shalom. Sim shalom tova uvracha. Sim shalom tova uvracha. B'tov b'necha levarech et amcha Yisrael, v'et kol hamim, v'kol eitu v'kol shah, b'shlomecha. Sim shalom tova uvracha. Sim shalom tova uvracha. B'sefer chaim uvracha. Nekater l'chaim tovim u'shalom. Baruch atah Adonai, Oseh HaShalom.
Continue now for a few moments of silent prayer.
Ratsonim refi, v'hegion levi lefanecha, lefanecha Adonai tzuri, tzuri v'goali.
I'm going to turn now to page 490 for the service of reading Torah. And for this, I need help. So I've already asked Levi to have the Aliyah, and for that I'm going to need his Hebrew name. Robin, do you want? You don't have it? That's fine. Well, Levi, that's...
Yeah, that's it.
Levi, yeah. And your mother's name?
Tracy.
And does she have any Hebrew name, do we know?
No, she.
Okay, that's all right. Don't worry. Not everybody got one, so it's okay. It's perfectly fine. Robin, I'm going to ask you to come up and take the scroll out because I am sure you can easily handle that scroll. And I might ask someone else to do Hagbah for it, but we'll see how Robin feels. And I need 2 other ark openers, so anybody fancy coming and opening the ark? See, this is what you get for not remembering to wear your talit on Shabbat. Anybody else who'd like to come and open the ark, please? I need 2 of you. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And now this, good. There's another one, perfect. And now then, there is a haftarah for today. If anyone is keen on the haftarah, which is a special one, please volunteer now to read it. If I hear no volunteers, I might just abridge it, because it is kind of a useful one, if I can only find it. I think it is. Anybody? You interested in the haftarah, Hillary?
If you want me to.
Yeah, go on. Why not? So afterwards, I've got a pretty decent translation here, and it's not all that long. Yes. Okay. So, 490. Hachel et ha'am, assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the strangers in your cities, to hear and learn to revere the Eternal One, your God, and observe faithfully all the precepts of this Torah. And let their children who do not yet know it hear, that they too may learn to revere the Eternal One, your God. And we rise as the ark is opened.
V'cha'erneinu b'toratecha, v'dabek lebeinu b'mitzvotecha, v'yached levaveinu, v'ya'ava u'yira et shemecha.
Somebody help her. Vince, she's got lots of help. Don't worry, they know what they're doing. See? Lots of help.
Lovely tall lady here to do it for. Okay. So you got it. You want to put it down?
Right. Okay, I might don't talk about she had it. You may sit down now. The scroll's seated. You can sit. Anytime the scroll's not walking around, sit down. Actually, we forgot a bit of this. We've put it down too early. No. Shmaya, actually stay standing for a few minutes because Yeah, haven't done this for a while. And I'm a bit frazzled this morning, in case you can't tell. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonai Kadosh Shemo.
Gadlu Adonai Eti Neromima Shemo Yachdav.
L'cha Adonai Hagadol Avagavor Avatiferet V'hanetzach V'hachol Ki kol b'shamayim u'aretz Ki kol b'shamayim u'aretz L'cha Adonai Hamamlacha V'hamitnaseh L'chol Rosh.
Okay, today's Torah reading is Ha'azinu, and it's a poem, and I'm not reading the poem part because my eyes are never very good at the best of times, and they're getting worse because I have cataracts. So, because it is a poem, it's written and my eyes jump columns, so if I tried to start in one column and move over, I'd end up 2 lines down. So, no, we're not reading the poem part. But you can check it out. You'll find it in the Chumash. In fact, you can't miss it, how interestingly it's laid out. And basically, this is the song of Moses. This is Moses' final words, as if he hasn't been talking to the people all through Deuteronomy. Now this is his final say on things. So he's going to tell the people and everybody to listen, understand, and God's deeds are perfect, God's ways are just. Remember the days of old. Ask your father, he will inform you. Your elders, they will tell you. It tells a whole story about when God was found by Abraham in the desert. Talks about Torah. Talks about all the things that go wrong. Talks about things that now go right, that they come out, and that Moses leads them out. And now they're just on the cusp of the promised land. And of course, Moses knows that he's not going there. And so this is now the part which I'm about to read in Hebrew. It's at the very end. It starts with verse 45. It's Deuteronomy 32, and I'm going to start on page. Verse 45. And when Moses finished reciting all these words to all Israel, he said to them, "Take to heart all the words which I have warned you this day, and join them upon your children, that they may observe faithfully all the terms of this teaching. For this is not a trifling thing for you. It is your very life. Through it you shall long endure in the land which you are to occupy upon crossing to the Jordan." Yamod, Rabbi Ben Tracy al Torah. I wish you had an extra hand. I do.
Baruch atah Adonai Hamavorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamavorach Le'olam Va'ed.
We praise you, Eternal One, and Lord, Sovereign of the universe. You have called us to serve you by giving us Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Noten Torah.
Amen.
ויבוא משה וידבר את כל דברי השירה הזאת באוזני העם הוא, והושיע בן נון. ויכל משה לדבר את כל הדברים האלה אל כל ישראל, ויאמר עליהם, שימו לבבכם לכל הדברים אשר אנוכי מעיד בכם היום, אשר תצום את בניכם לשמור, לעשות את כל דברי התורה הזאת, כי לא דבר רק הוא מקם, כי הוא חכם, ודבר הזה תאריכו ימים על האדמה אשר אתם עיוורים את הירדן, שמע לרשתה.
We praise you, eternal one, our God, sovereign of the universe. You have given us true teaching and implanted in us eternal life. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Okay, Robin, you want to come and have a go? Openers and my tires back up here, and this is mine. Are you okay?
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachau lahakodsho ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu.
And I think that deserves shakar.
At least we don't have to fast.
No, I think it's all right. Okay, Hillary. The reason that this is a special Haftarah, and because this is called Shabbat Shuvah, is it begins Shiva Yisrael Adonai Elohecha. So return to the Eternal One, your God. So, and it's combined in two sections from two different books. The first bit is from Hosea, and it's there, and there. And then the second bit is from Micah. So it's two things together. Okay?
We praise you, Eternal One, our God, sovereign of the universe. You inspired faithful prophets and took pleasure in the words they spoke in truth. We praise you, O God, for the gift of Torah, your servant Moses, your people Israel, and the prophets of truth and righteousness. Return, O Israel, to the Eternal your God, for you have stumbled in your iniquity. Take words with you and return to the Eternal One, and say, forgive all iniquity and accept the good, and we will offer the fruit of our lips. Assyria cannot save us. We shall ride on horses no more. Never again shall we say, our God, to the works of our hands, for you alone the orphan finds a parent. For you alone the orphan finds a parent. I will heal their disloyalty. I will love them freely, for my wrath has turned away from them. I will be like dew to Israel. They shall blossom like a lily and strike roots like the trees of Lebanon. Their shoots shall spread out wide, their splendour like an olive tree's, their fragrance like that of a Lebanon. Those who sit in their shade shall return to me. They shall grow their corn and blossom like a vine, renowned as the wine of Lebanon. Ephraim shall say, "What are idols to me now?" God will say, "I will respond and look to him. For I am a luxuriant cypress, for which your fruit is found." The wise shall understand these things, and the discerning shall know them. That straight are the ways of the Eternal. While the righteous walk in them, transgressors stumble on them. This selection from Micah is added when Shabbat Shuvah is the day on which the Sedra Vayelech is read. Otherwise, the additional selection from Joel is shown below. Sorry, yes.
Just read it.
Who is a God like you, forgiving iniquity, passing over transgression? You do not cling to your anger with the remnant of your people, because you delight in showing love. You will turn back to us. You will take us back in love. You will subdue our sins, casting them into the depths of the sea. You will show faithfulness to Jacob, steadfast love to Abraham, as you promised our ancestors from the days of old.
That's it.
We praise you, Eternal One, our God, Sovereign of the universe. You have been our source of strength and righteousness throughout the ages. The faithful God, whose word is deed, whose every word is true and just.
And we rise for the community prayers. Eternal God, we ask your blessing for our sovereign King Charles, for all those who govern our country, and all who influence the quality of its national life. May they be conscious of their responsibility, and we of ours, so that together we may fashion in this country a society with freedom, justice, and compassion at its heart, one in which diversity is respected and cherished, and in which the worth of all people is recognized. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless our brothers and sisters of the house of Israel, who enter synagogues to study, pray, and give aid to those in need. May the Holy One, to whom all praise is due, hear their prayers and help them to fulfill their aspirations for good. We ask your blessing on the state of Israel and its leaders, that they may be inspired by the words of Torah and the prophets to govern with justice and compassion, and at this time to turn from the destructive path they have chosen, and instead work to create a society in which the image of God in all who live there is recognized and respected. Hallelujah, Shem Adonai, Ki nizgav Shemo levado.
Odo al eretz v'shamayim v'yaren keren li'amo tehila lechol chazidav livnei Yisrael am karovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
This is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel in time to come, says the Eternal One. I will put my teaching within them and engrave it on their hearts. I will be their God, and they shall be my people. No longer shall anyone need to teach a friend or a neighbor to know me, for they all shall know me, young and old alike.
Hashivenu Adonai Elecha V'nashua Chadesh Yameinu Kakedem Chadesh Yameinu Kakedem.
Can you resume your seats? So, Shabbat Shuvah. Here we are, just nearly finished. Sometimes Shabbat Shuvah is more in the middle of between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, but this time it's very late, so it's kind of like we're about to take that last step. Right? Among other elements, the liturgy of our High Holy Days contains confessions, multiple confessions, some in acrostic form, with a couple of sins for every letter. Well, sins, but the thing is that sins in Hebrew, it has a slightly different meaning, because it's more like missing the mark, not what that word connotes really in English. So all the things that we do through the course of the year that we don't quite get what we should have done. Sometimes willfully, sometimes, but most often just by mistake. We're trying, but we don't quite get there. Shabbat Shuvah, the Shabbat between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, is a Shabbat of turning. We are to turn from our failings, our transgressions, and return to the correct path. The Haftarah, as you heard, contains that phrase about turning. During this period, we should be concentrating on the ways in which we must turn in the coming year, the changes we must make in our own lives, how we deal with what we confess, with all of those lists, Hashamnu, Bagadnu, Yalchet. One interesting factor of this list of misdeeds is that, as the late Rabbi Hertz points out, nearly all of the sins confessed are transgressions against other human beings. A large number of evil thoughts, we're jealous, we're angry, or failings and sins against our own higher nature. Both the shorter and longer confessions deal exclusively with ethical lapses. As Rabbi Marshall Meyer, Zikronom Livracha, notes, we sin when we fail to live up to the capabilities with which we have been endowed. We sin not only when we act in destructive ways, but also when we fail to defend the sanctity of life. So you see this element of missing the mark. Sins of omission figure large in this. Every one of us is guilty of failing to act to enhance our own lives and the lives of others at all times. We tend to fall just a bit short. Rabbi Hertz draws our attention to the contents of these lists, noting there's some remarkable omissions. Thus, among the very many moral offenses enumerated, no mention is made of brutal assaults, bestial cruelty, or murder. He suggests this omission by the ancient rabbis and the centuries of Jews who spoke them is that it was inconceivable that any Jew could be guilty of them. Well, perhaps not. But unfortunately, this is no longer something we can assert. A key feature of these confessions is that they are in the plural. We as a community, not I as an individual. We live in community for all its glory and for all its shame. We are responsible, not just for ourselves, but for its other members as well. something rather anathema to our 21st century individualistic outlook. Rabbi Marshall Myers, Zikronom Livracha, asserts that al-Chet is written in the plural because of Judaism's constant emphasis on our involvement within the human community. He asks, where is the conscious and sincere individual who can say that the sins enumerated in al-Chet do not belong to him or her? And over the years, these confessions, while maintaining their form, have often been rewritten. Our liturgy is not totally fixed, but a product of time and place. In our Machzor, we have a version reflecting the ideas of its compilers. And you'll see plenty of that in Yom Kippur. But I thought it would be interesting to share with you today some other versions of these confessions. And the first of these is from Rabbi Lionel Blue, Zikronom Livracha. Actually, I'm just going to say something about Lionel. Does everybody know who Lionel Blue was? Rabbi Lionel Blue? Some of you are going yes, and a lot of you are going, who? What? Where? Well, Lionel, though these many, many years ago, was ordained at Liobek. He was the first gay man to be ordained as a rabbi in this country. And it was a long, long time ago. And he was one of my teachers at Liobek College, and I learned, it was a real privilege because I learned a lot from him. One of the things about Lionel was that
Jen, you couldn't move to that microphone.
well, I really can't because the angle's wrong and I can barely see to read anyway. So, for years he was on the radio every morning with a thought for the day, and all of those were very much rooted within Judaism, but they were also very rooted within people. And so for him, and I think this was very much, it was the people, the community, that was where he saw himself and located himself and located his Judaism and his work as a rabbi. But also very much about introspection and how we look at ourselves. So this was his list. For the sin we committed against you through evading and avoiding, because we could not face the truth. For our flight into hypocrisy and deception, because we did not dare to speak it. For the facts we dissembled and all we glossed over, for the excuses we made, for feeding our bodies and starving our souls, and for interfering with the souls of others and neglecting their needs, for shifting our responsibilities, for reproaches and recriminations, for our foolishness, our folly, and false standards, for seeing these things only in others, never in ourselves, for our complacency which blinds us, and our self-righteousness which lessens us, for calculating kindness and measuring out pity, for charity that is cold and prayers without feeling, for sending in accounts for love, for the appeals that we ignored and the people whom we refused, for the affection which died and our lives that became bitter, for the visions which faded, the ideals we neglected, and the opportunities we lost, for the fear of change and renewal, and our unbelief, for saying prayers aloud, but refusing to listen, for being our own worst enemy. And then there's a list from Rabbi Charles Middleborough, who I think probably even more of you know. And I think these are quite interesting as well. For the sin which we have committed by making unreasonable demands of God. right? When we say, God, fix this, we fix this. And for the sin which we have committed by denying God's existence in our thoughts and our deeds, when it suited us. For the sin we have committed by restricting our Judaism to the synagogue, rather than making it live in our homes. And for the sin which we have committed by forcing our children to live the Jewish lives we ignore. For the sin which we have committed by being steadfastly ignorant about our faith and traditions. And for the sin which we have committed by pretending that we did not have time for study. For the sins we have committed by taking from our community rather than giving to it, and for the sin we have committed by praising the dedication of others instead of following their example. For the sin we have committed by believing ourselves to be superior to others, and for the sin which we have committed by doing nothing to distinguish our behavior. For all these sins, O God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement. And the final words are from Rabbi Marshall Meyer, who is one of the most amazing people it has ever been my privilege to meet. And I don't have time to tell you why. For all our sins and errors, our failures to defend, to care for, to share with, to shoulder our responsibilities. For all the times we unwittingly hurt ourselves, others, and you. For all the sins we committed, and for which we too quickly pardoned ourselves. For all these sins, forgiving God, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement. And I think one of the things that these have all talked about is how we deal in the world and with others, and how we should be caring and thoughtful. And I think to that end, we're going to sing Misha Berach. Vince has remembered to bring the words. And think of those, our friends, those who might be in need of a bit of healing and support at this time. Because as we think of them, that leads us to think what we might do for them. And also think about the strength that we need in our own lives to do what we're supposed to be doing in this coming year. And I know that I'm thinking today of a number of my friends, of Jason Sutton, of Stephen Richards, of Andrew Keats. Is there any of you who have friends in mind who are struggling with anything at the moment and you'd like to share their names as I look around the room?
My friend Andrea.
Thank you.
My friend Alison Young.
Jackie Hughes.
Okay. Anything online? Okay. So let's sing Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avotenu Makor Habracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Makor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We turn now to page 520, and we rise for the Elaine.
עלינו לשבח, לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה, רוצה בראשית, אשר שם חלקנו לאחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך, מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסף הארץ, ומשה יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום ושבת אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד.
We continue now with the Kaddish. Creator of the universe, you give us life in which joys and sorrows are commingled in accordance with your wisdom. Teach us to accept humbly and courageously the burdens laid upon us. Comfort those who mourn. Let the light of faith illumine the darkness of their sorrow. Strengthen us at all times with unfailing trust in your presence. And this Shabbat, we think of Arnold Freeman, the husband of Pauline Freeman, Liesl Johnson, the mother of Tina Higgins. Are there any other names?
Ronald Hughes.
Ronald Hughes, thank you.
My uncle, Dr. Ronald Cohen.
Thank you. Anything else? For those whom we have named, for those whose names we hold in our hearts, and for all those who have no one left to say Kaddish for them, we say together on page 524. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbi, Ya'amad evrach cherutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael, v'agalah mon kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbi v'vorach, Yolam romei amaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, Yitpa'al v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shmei kedusha b'rechu, Le'elam kol v'chata v'shevata, v'shpachata v'nechemata, ta'ani aron v'yalma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shalom olav amin shemaya, v'chaim aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. V'aseh shalom b'mrama, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol b'nei Adam, v'imru, Amen. We resume our seats. Vince, what are we closing with, by the way? I can't remember. I don't know.
Never thought of anything like that. There's this song called I Don't Know Lam. We could try that.
Well, I can't remember what we decided.
We didn't.
Okay. Before we conclude with the Don Olam, my thought as we are here this day, I don't know about you, but I'm a bit, all over the place at the moment. And I found this, and I don't know, it spoke to me, so I hope it speaks to some of you as well. I suspect it will. Because it just seems like we know where we should be, but we're not quite there. Open your eyes, see the truth, and forgive. I can't, I said, through clenched teeth. It's this way, he said. The endless one made a word, wild and chaotic, light and darkness, birthing and dying, joy and sorrow. All of us are enmeshed in good and evil, caught by forces beyond our control. We act in ignorance and confusion, blindly lashing out. But I'm hurt, I said. Listen, he said. You expect order? You think you can exert control? This is the source of your pain. The one who hurt you is trapped as you are trapped, in compulsion and fear. Know this, he said, all of life, Havel Havalim, a breath of air, a bubble that bursts in an instant. So learn to live with impermanence. Accept uncertainty, and your suffering will ease. You cannot guarantee security, he said, but you can hold fast to wisdom. Look at the world with new eyes, he said. Let go of expectations, and you will relinquish anger. In their place, love and compassion will blossom, and then the clenched fist of your heart will open, and you will forgive. This is based on the writings of Rabbi Rami Shapiro, and it appears in Mishkan HaNefesh for Yom Kippur. We conclude now with Adon Olam.
Adon Olam Hashem Alak, B'terem kol Yitzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa V'Hefzo Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra, V'Acharei Kichlot HaKol, V'Vado Yimlok Nora, V'Hu Haya, V'Hu Hovei, V'Hu Yeh B'Tifara, V'Hu Yeh B'Tifara, V'Hu Echad V'Ein Sheni, L'Ham Shilo, L'Hakbira, B'Li Reishit, B'Li Taklit, V'lo ha'az v'ha'mizra, V'lo ha'az v'ha'mizra, V'hu Eli, V'chai go'ali, V'tzuchev li b'eit Sarah, V'hu nisi umanos li, Manat kosi b'yom ekra, Manat kosi b'yom ekra, B'yado akid ruchi, V'eit ishan b'ayira, V'imruchi geviyati, Adonai li v'lo ira, Adonai li v'lo ira.
And Dominic has a few certificates to give to some people who completed
Only one here.
Hebrew course.
Yes, this is a certificate for people who have completed the beginner's Hebrew course, and very, very well deserved for him. Three more people were not here today, so they'll get their certificate later.
Would you like to tell us who they are anyway?
Yes, it's Romain, Alexander, and Naomi. I don't know. So
Okay. It's just always nice to, so that the news can be shared even though they're not here. Please rise for concluding benediction. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a say. Amen. Touch them, and we'll go in for Kiddush.